a public speaker, and he will be sharing some tips with us. And if you ever wanted to be a public speaker and wanted to build your confidence, well, stay in tune with the Empower Hour, and inshallah you will get some very useful tips and encouragement, and you will certainly be motivated.
He will indeed. I will indeed. It's a very special guest we got on today. On there, we're going to try Shaz to connect Shaz now. Hello there, Shaz.
Hello.
Assalamu
Hello,
alaikum.
Hasib.
Hi there, Shaz.
Walaikum salam.
How are you? You okay?
Oh, I'm very good. I'm sat in the Swan Hotel in Orlando at Walt Disney, and the sun is beaming. We're sat in the garden, some lovely swans here. You can probably hear the fountain in the background, and I've got Neil McCoy Ward sat right next to me.
It's all right for some, isn't it?
He's a lookalike of Brad Pitt, especially with his lovely sunglasses.
Oh, well, I'm a big fan of Brad Pitt, Shaz, as you know.
I do. And Neil is as good as, if not better than, Brad Pitt.
Oh, well, we're looking forward to having a conversation with Neil then.
Absolutely, so am I.
We are indeed. We are indeed. Shaz, just like to say, how is America? How are you finding it?
America has been very, very good. Neil and I are at the National Speakers Association convention, where we've got about 1,200 national speakers and probably about 50 to 100 international speakers. So all the best speakers from the world gather for this annual convention, and it's been absolutely amazing. This takes your game to a whole nother level.
Brilliant, fantastic.
I'm glad to hear that you're having a great time, and I'm sure that between you and Neil, you will be able to share some good tips with our listeners here on Salaam Radio and Inspire FM, and so that we can empower people listening to Salaam Radio and Inspire today. That is the purpose of this program on Tuesday evenings from 7 till 8. Shaz, you talked about the national and international speakers, very big gathering indeed. And we're going to talk to Neil as well. It must take a lot of confidence to people to get, and effort to get to that level.
Absolutely. So there's a particular concept by Malcolm Gladwell, who says you need to invest at least 10,000 hours in order to become an expert in any particular given field. And as you'll know, Ansar Ali, you're a very accomplished public speaker yourself. A lot of people fear public speaking. In fact, it's one of those things which people feel they have a phobia about. So just getting on stage, I think, is an accomplishment in itself. From there onwards, once you start looking at how do I become a really good speaker, that really requires a lot of effort, enthusiasm, and energy. And the great thing is, there's lots of people out there who are willing to help each other in order to become even better.
That's great. And Neil's with you as well? Neil McCoy Ward?
Yes, Neil's here.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Very well, thank you very much, Neil. Great to have you with us here on Salaam Radio and Inspire FM, Peterborough and Luton in England, and you're all the way in the USA, in Orlando.
Yeah, like Shaz, I'm from Coventry actually, so travelled out with Shaz for this conference, and what Shaz has said there is absolutely right. I mean, it takes a lot of effort. It's not, a lot of people think you're either born a good speaker.
Can you still hear us? Are you still with us?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. We can.
Okay. Yeah, I was just saying, some people think you're born a good speaker, but it's not true. Even for your listeners who think you're a terrible speaker, you could never do it. But actually, I started the same way, and I just worked at it a little bit at a time each day, one speech after another, even though I was scared to do it. And it really builds confidence, and it's great for business as well. If your listeners are interested in improvement in business, all areas of your life, it really helps in all areas of your life.
You've certainly been involved in working with some very high-profile companies. Obviously, we can't name them here on Salaam Radio or Inspire FM, but you've been able to change the way that people think about public speaking. Hello, Neil.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm just
Go ahead,
asking
sir.
that you've
Yeah.
had quite an impact on a lot of people that you have worked with.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is that as a public speaker or a professional speaker, the key really and how it differentiates from other fields is that you're really there to give that inspiration to people, to make them feel good, to not necessarily to give them tricks and tips, but you're there to give that inspiration, which is often needed, to give that that belief that you can do something. It is possible if you just apply yourself. And I think that's the most important thing with what I do, with what Shaz does. We talk about our upbringing. We talk about how we didn't come from wealth, and in some ways we came from the exact opposite. And just one day at a time built that up, slowly but surely, to give ourselves and our families the lives that we want and they deserve.
Neil, you are a retired British Army officer. You retired from the rank of sergeant.
Yeah, I wasn't an officer. I was a sergeant. Yeah, that's what I did for 10 years.
And then you changed to become, just tell us your road to becoming a public speaker and a motivational speaker.
Well, I found that I was actually quite good at that while serving in the army. I mean, I wasn't front line. I wasn't infantry or anything like that. My job was more back end based, intelligence based, office based. That was my role, and I found I was very good at training. Training people and helping them to get where they wanted to be, really. And I mean, the thing that happened with me and how I became a speaker was that I didn't believe that I could do it, because my upbringing was, it wasn't compared to the other kids in class who had the Nike trainers and had all the money and things. I didn't have that. Right. I was lucky if I got 50p pocket money per week. So I spent every day seeing the other kids and making fun of me, and for having the high-tech trainers and the ripped jeans, and it really created a fire within me. And I thought, one day I'm gonna do it. One day I'm gonna get ahead, and I'm not gonna treat the way that these people treat me. And that was really my inspiration to get forward. And one thing I realized was that, having sort of left, being bullied in school and things, I just carried on trying to be the tough guy, and carried on trying to be who I really wasn't as a person, and joining the army was really, another part of that. And it was only when I was sort of coming to the end of my career in the army, I realized that it wasn't really what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a businessman. Right. And as Shaz may have mentioned, now I own a number of companies in the UK. Right. And I just very slowly but surely built that up. And speaking came about because a lot of people wanted to know how I'd gone from where I was right. Into having so many companies so quickly.
Absolutely. Can I take you back, because you said that when you were young at school, etc., how people looked upon you and being bullied, etc. Sometimes, and I'm asking this question on behalf of many of our listeners who might be able to relate to that, it can be a bit off-putting. You can go in your shell and just not do anything about it. But you saw that as an opportunity and you responded very positively. What would you say to people who are listening to Inspire FM and Salaam Radio at the moment if they feel that they are one of those young people in a class full of boys or girls where they probably don't have the same level of upbringing, the wealth, the status, etc., the money, the pocket money, etc., the Nike shoes, etc. What would you say to them? How would you inspire them, motivate them?
Yeah, what I would say straight away, listening at home, is that don't despair. there's you know, there are no constants in the world.
Right.
The only thing is change. Change is the only thing that is a constant, which is quite ironic, because time actually heals all things, and change is the only thing that will always be there. So if things are bad now and you think they can't get any worse, they will get better. You know, that's all that will happen. And if you just have faith, if you just continue forward, if you just keep positive, and when people are mean or cruel or things to you, and I still get this now, the best thing to do is to not react.
Right.
The best thing to do is how I did it was I educated myself,
Right.
so that I knew that one day I would surpass those people. And I didn't do it in a vicious way. I didn't
Right.
think, now I'm better than you. I thought, when I got to that place, I realized actually those people are just a product of their environment.
Right.
They are a product of what other people, maybe parents, maybe brothers and sisters, maybe the community. They're a product of that community. It's not their fault. So that's the way I looked at it, and it's the same way I look at people now. When I see, when I see things on the news, or I see, you know, something happened here, or something happened, I don't look at that and say, oh, what? Oh, I'm confused. How did that happen? I just see it as it's a product of people's environment and who they surround themselves with. So the top tip I can give is to surround yourselves with the kind of people that you want to be in the future.
And that's why I surround myself with Shaz and Hasib here, because I want to be like them, basically.
Yeah. I've got a lot of respect for Shaz. You know, even out here, we're in America, and Shaz is a very respected man here for what he's done. And he's exactly where I want to be. He's got two great boys. They're just, and even today, in the restaurant, the waiter commented on how amazing and polite his children were. Yeah. And I think if we all had that, I think we'd be very happy people.
Absolutely right. Neil, thank you for joining us. It's myself, Hasib here. Neil, just like to ask you, as you said before, surrounding with the right people. Neil, there's many mentors out in the market today. What should I look for a mentor if I wanted to have a mentor? What characteristics should I look for? What are the good things I should look in a mentor?
Yeah, I mean, and this is a perfect question for me, because one day out of my week I actually dedicate to mentoring. So people ask me this all the time, and I say the same thing. In the marketplace, there is a lot of people who will mentor you for crazy sums of money, but they haven't really got the experience to be mentoring. If you're talking from a business point of view, I mean, there's lots of points of view. There is a mentor in life. There's a mentor in sports. There's a mentor in faith. Whatever it is that you want to do, you want to really look to that person, and you want to do some research. You want to find out, are they the right sort of people? What do other people say about them? Are they someone that you think that you would like to be like? Because if not, then they are going to influence you. And in the business world, you see this a lot, where people are mentors, and then all of a sudden there's criminal trials and all sorts of bad things occur. And I think to myself, wow, they've been mentoring people, they've been influencing people. So it's quite a sad thing. So you've really got to do your research on the people that you're looking to get mentored by. And I think that's the best advice I can give on that.
Brilliant. Thank you for that advice. That is brilliant advice on there. Also, Neil, just like to ask you on that, what was your first win that made you confident that you were doing the right thing?
In what field?
In the field of speaking, and then working with the people that you work with. What made you think, okay, yes, you know what, I'm doing the right thing here. I've got something here.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say, I mean, my field of expertise is that I'm a sales trainer and speaker, and that's what I speak on. That's my main field of expertise. I work with companies and people alike. But what I actually do apart from that is I'm an entrepreneur. So what I love doing is business. and I find it really fun. I find it a great hobby, and I think you've really got to dedicate yourself to your discipline, such as business, and you've got to make it fun. It's got to be fun for you. Whatever you do in life, you've got to make it fun. So your question was about my, the first win, was it, or the biggest win?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I think what happened was when I left the army, I tried a few different things, and it didn't work out, and I lost all my savings, actually. So I'd gone from having savings and thinking I was going to be great and setting up my first business to getting frauded, basically. And I lost all the money, the thousands of pounds that I had saved up. So this is no secret. Most people know my story, but I left London with 2 bags of clothes to my name 3 months after being very, high up for my age in the army, having a £34,000 a year job. And I left London with nothing. And if it wasn't for a family member offering me a room, I would have been on the streets. It was really that bad. So I really have gone, highs and lows. And I'd say the biggest win after that was actually landing a job in sales and going through applying the same discipline and dedication to that job as I did in the military, and actually, going, starting at the bottom, reading the books, getting the mentorship, going on the training courses until I became, the best of the best in my field.
I mean, quite often, you talked about having that discipline, and sometimes, a lot of the times, people lack that, basically. And, because you've been in the army, the discipline comes through that, being involved in the army, in the armed forces, because you're very regimental in everything that you do.
Yeah, definitely.
And in terms of people listening at the moment to you, you had that sort of environment where you had already worked in. Many people listening to Salaam Radio on 106.2 FM in Peterborough and in Luton on 105.1 FM at the moment may not have had that sort of a background. What would you say to people who may be, working in various other disciplines, and they may well be in a job that they're probably not enjoying, but they've got other things to offer, to new skills to develop?
Yeah, I think the first point should be on discipline. And the most important thing to remember is that discipline is a skill. It's not something you're born with or not born with. It's a skill. It's like, for those of you listening that go to the gym, go to the gym or you go running, you don't just go into the gym and pile up 100 kilos of weights and then, do a bench press. That's not how you do it. You go in and you start with lying on the bench and you start with an empty bar. That's the reality. And the same applies to anything you do. And discipline fits this mold too. If you find that you sort of struggle, so you get home from work, there's something you want to do, you want to do after school classes or something, or after work classes, and you don't know how to get yourself motivated. Well, the first step is to just book a course, book that training, book what you need to do, and then each day just take another step. The worst thing you can do is look at the end result of it. So looking at a business degree or some sort of a degree that's going to take you 4 years of distant learning, that's the worst thing you can do, because you'll see how difficult it is and it will put you off the effort. But if you just look at that and then you say, what's step one? What do I need to do this week? Just this week. And you take those steps, it's easy. You break it down into bite-sized chunks and you take one step at a time. And that's how you build discipline. You just do one step at a time.
Okay, and that's very important. I'm sure that our listeners would take note of that, and if they are looking to become public speakers, motivational speakers, or they're looking for a change of career, having that discipline, breaking things down in bite-sized chunks is very important. Just looking back in terms of, here you said that you have got lots of people there in Orlando at this conference. national USA speakers and international speakers as well. And I suppose many of them would have shared their own background, how they got into public speaking as well. And, just tell us the different backgrounds that people may have had, basically. Anything that particularly struck you from one of your colleagues who's there at the conference sharing their background with you. You say, well, my God, this guy, has had to work very hard.
There was, on the first day of the conference, there was a couple of speeches there which really moved us. And I think I'll take the example that I think will most apply to your listeners here. And there's a Muslim girl called Yasmin.
Yasmin Abdul Majid.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Shaz knows the name.
Yasmin Abdul Majid.
Yasmin Abdul Majid. Yeah, thank you.
And the interesting thing about this speech was that me and Shaz sat there and listened to it, and we thought it was a great, powerful, moving speech for someone to stand up there and to share from their point of view, from their beliefs, from their faith. It was just so brave. And for me, it made a big impact. For Shaz, it made a big impact. Right. But you know what? You always get people that will dislike somebody. It doesn't matter how, how good you are, how much you share. There were people there that didn't like this lady. And I think there was nothing she said that was offensive or anything like that. Would you agree, Shaz?
Yeah, absolutely. So Yasmin, as a frame of reference, was born in Sudan, and then she was brought up in Australia. She went to an all-Muslim girls' school at primary school level. So she shared her story about how people make assumptions and how Muslims are labeled, and the way she wears a hijab, and how people, again, come to certain conclusions. But what was really amazing was she shared how brave she was to stand in an American audience and share her story about being Muslim and being proud of it. Right. But she shared an interesting story about how she got a job as an engineer on an oil rig, and she works with an American who is racist according to his views, but they both have one common interest, and that is they both like Harley Davidson bikes. Right. So for 2 weeks, they both connect and talk about a topic which both of them like. 2 weeks later, she receives a phone call from one of her female friends who went to school with her, and she works as a nurse, and she says, "Do you know XYZ?" And she says, "Yeah, I know him because he's a colleague." "How do you know him?" Well, she says, either his wife or his sister works with me, and over the last 2 weeks, he has dramatically changed his views about how he perceives and sees Muslims. And I thought that was brilliant, how she's conveyed a message of how we need to connect with people who don't understand our faith, don't understand our background, maybe come to certain conclusions because they read certain newspapers or watch certain programs or news channels on TV, and how we can change that within a matter of 2 weeks. That was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic story. Yeah, carry on, Neil.
Yeah. And it even shifted beliefs in my mind, because I'm a British guy, I'm a Caucasian guy, I have lots of Muslim friends like Shaz, I have over a dozen Muslim friends, and I see exactly what she's talking about, and I see all the things that are going on, and for me it made a big impact as well. But at the same time, I still saw people who just, their beliefs are so ingrained that they believe a lot of stuff on the media, and it wasn't great. But the one thing I would say for the people listening is that there's probably a lady listening right now to your radio station that thinks, you know what, I would love to do that. I would love to get out there and change people's beliefs. I'd love to get on stage and speak and share my story.
Okay,
and
Neil, we're going to have to come back to you in a moment, because we're going to take a short break. We'll be back in a couple of moments' time with the Empire Hour with Ansar Ali, Muhammad Asif, Shaz Nawaz, and our very special guest, Neil McCoy Ward. And we got a short break. You are listening to Salaam Radio and Inspire FM in Luton and Peterborough. We're delighted to have your company. Stay right where you are. We'll be back with you in a couple of moments' time. Make Salaam Radio and Inspire FM your number one choice for listening.
Stay tuned to Salaam Radio after this short ad break.
Please give your brothers and sisters in the developing world the gift of clean, safe water. They can use it for drinking, for cooking, for watering their crops and even for their livestock and animals. They'll also use the water that you provide them to make wudu. Log on to our website pennyappeal.org or call on 03000 11 11 11.
City Homes Estate Agents are your #1 independent family-owned agency in Peterborough. We offer a range of services including buying, selling, letting, mortgages and conveyancing. Why not call us today and find out for yourself why our customers return time and time again. We have a track record for achieving some of the highest prices in and around the area for our clients. With over 10 years of operating in the area, we are the experts in this market. Put us to the test today by calling 01733 348 677 and quote discount code RADIO for our exclusive rates for this promotion. City Homes, bringing people together for over 10 years.
आला बड़े पैसे आई गए ने कराना दूरी वे काम शुरू कराए
पैसे नहीं भाई यूके प्लम्बिंग एंड डीआईवाई नहीं ऑफर ही इस रानी है
लाला यूके प्लम्बिंग वाले कड़ियां चीजां बेचने न
घर की अपग्रेड करनियां सारियां चीजां बाथां टॉयलेटां टैप्स बॉयलर रेडिएटर प्लम्बिंग फिटिंग्स पेंट स्टोर डीआईवाई टाइलां सारा कुछ बेचने नहीं चीजां कोई सस्तियां में बेचने न को नहीं ओए साल ले 12 महीने इन्हां दी ऑफरां लगी होणियां नहीं
और जल्दी कर मी पता दस होए मैं भी कराना काम शुरू करासां
ऐ किन्ना पता
Please visit us at Unit 2 Brassey Close, Lincoln Road Industrial Estate, PE1 2AZ, or call 01733 555 826. UK Plumbing and DIY, a name you can trust.
Do you have lots of clutter at home or in the office that needs to be kept but nowhere to keep it? Ivet Self-Storage offers a secure, affordable, clean and dry home for your belongings. We have security systems in place which are monitored 24 hours a day, ensuring that your items are safe. With a simple monthly payment, Ivet Self-Storage provides secure and tailored facilities to meet your specific requirements, whether short or long term. We offer the best prices and longest opening hours in Peterborough. For more information, please call on 01733 306 456 or visit us at Ivet Way, Westwood.
You have one new message.
Please, can you call me, please, for God's sake? I'm really in trouble. Please, Allah the Wasta, call me.
This was a real message. It was left not just for us, but for you. Thousands of our brothers and sisters in the UK are crying out for your help. Don't hang up on them. Find out more and fulfill your third pillar with us. Visit nzf.org.uk. National Zakat Foundation, serving zakat payers and recipients nationwide.
Gems and jewels. Wise sayings, interesting events, and moral lessons from Islamic history. Learn the good supplication.
Someone once said, if you wish to learn how to supplicate, then listen to the supplication of the Arabs. Sa'id ibn Musayyib said that once Hulla ibn Ashyam passed by him, and as he couldn't control his urge to go to him, he went and said, O Abu Sahba, supplicate to Allah for me. He said,
This is Salaam Radio, Peterborough's Muslim community radio. Broadcasting on 106.2 FM and online.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Salaam Radio. You're listening to Empower Hour on 106.2 FM and Inspire FM in Luton on 105.1 FM. Also, just like to say to tell the listeners as well, you can text or WhatsApp us on 07745 278 978. Or you could ring on the studio on 01733 602 133.
We are talking to our very special guest in the program today. We've had some wonderful tips already from Neil McCoy Ward, who is sitting in Orlando in the United States of America alongside our regular presenter Shaz Nawaz. Welcome back, Neil and Shaz.
Hey, thank you.
Okay, we certainly have enjoyed our conversation. We're asking our listeners now to text any questions to us here on Salaam Radio. Our text number is 07745278978. Please text us any questions that you may have that we can put to our special guest, Neil McCoy Ward, who is a public speaker and motivational speaker, and he's from Coventry, but at the moment he is at a conference in Orlando in USA, along with our regular presenter here on Salaam Radio, Shaz Nawaz. You shared a beautiful story with us earlier about this Muslim woman from Sudan who's there with you as well, and that really is fantastic. The way that her contact with this an individual who was racist, but by talking to her, talking to him, his attitude changed, and that is very important, particularly in the current climate. I'm putting that to you both, Neil and Shaz, because no doubt you got people from all backgrounds at the conference at the moment.
Yes, absolutely, and there are people from pretty much, I'd say, every single nationality, every single language, different parts of the world, from pretty much every single continent. So it's a great opportunity for people to be able to share their ideas. And obviously, when you're on stage, what you're doing is you're trying to influence and persuade people with your point of view, with perhaps your arguments. And that's something which Neil is specialized in, because Neil is a sales trainer. So a question which I would ask Neil, because I know he's more qualified than I am, what does it take to become a good salesperson, Neil?
Oh, okay. I wasn't ready for that question. What does it take? I think sales has got a huge misconception in the UK. If I was to say that a salesperson is going to come to your door and knock on your door in the next 10 minutes, right at home now, what's going through your mind? I would say it's a gut-churning sensation, or you don't want a salesperson coming around to your house, because that's how I feel as well. And unfortunately, that's the way that sales used to be. It used to be a very sort of dominant, aggressive-based way to make money, where people would try and influence you and trick you and use force and the like, maybe not physical force, but more mental force. And actually, when I really decoded sales and went through it, I found that the most successful salespeople weren't those aggressive, forceful people. The best salespeople were more, in my opinion, like your GP, like your doctor. Your GP doesn't say, come in and sit down, and here's what I'm going to tell you is wrong with you. That would be crazy. But yeah, that's what a salesperson does. What your GP would do is say, come in and sit down, and then he or she would ask you some questions. What seems to be the issue? Oh, well, it's my arm. My arm's hurting. Okay. Well, what about your arm is hurting? Well, this part. And then he or she would do some tests or feel your arm, etc. And yeah, a salesperson would never do that. So what I figured out was that the best salespeople are those who ask lots of questions. They want to know what the pain is of their client or of their customer. And then they go about solving that problem, that pain, and delivering upon exactly what the customer wants. And then they don't have to sell anything. The customer will automatically buy based on their requirements. That's what makes a good salesperson.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Neil. And I know you've trained lots of different sales men, women, and other sales trainers, and you've also written a book. And if somebody wants to learn more about sales, what are the 2 or 3 key takeaways from your book which they can implement straight after this interview?
Okay, I think the first stage which most people and you know, people at home, it doesn't matter if you're a salesperson or you're a consultant or you're a mother, you're a father, children. It's the same principles throughout. These principles are universal. Firstly, what you do is you actually do the foundational work. You do the research. You find out exactly what the need is in your industry, and then you go about solving that need. So you do your research, you find out what the requirements are, is your stage one. Stage two is about bringing a product to market, or making sure that your product, if it isn't right, is tailored then. So you change your product or your service slightly, and you bring that to market. And the third part really is about just clarifying that what you have is exactly what your customer needs. And if you just apply those 3 points, you'll be very successful in what you do.
That's 3 fantastic takeaways there, Neil. I'll ask you one more question before I hand you back to the studio. Apart from Yasmin, which other speaker inspired you and why?
The other speaker that inspired me was a gentleman called Derek. I can't remember his last name, but Derek was just so inspirational because I could relate to him a lot. Nowhere near to the extreme poverty that he suffered, but I can relate to the fact that his story was that he grew up without even soap or running water, and when he saw hotels throwing away bars of soap, he said, that's crazy. Why are we throwing away these bars of soap? So he went about collecting soap, and he created a worldwide soap project where he sends refined soap, so it's not dirty soap. He refines it and sends it to deserving people and families and nations all around the world. And he inspired me for 2 reasons. 1, because of where he came from. 2, because of what he does now. And 3, because of the skill that he mastered. He was a master of the spoken word on stage. And I think anybody that masters the spoken word will be very influential, very successful in life.
Thank you very much for that, Neil. I shall pass you back to the studio with Ansar Ali and Mohammed Hasib.
Well, thank you very much, both of you. And the question that comes to my mind, and again, it's to both of you, these days, motivation is the biggest challenge. Motivating individuals, particularly young people. There are a lot of people who are laid back, don't have the confidence, the inspiration. And how do you get a person off that first block, the starting point?
I think it's, and this is my personal view, it's with anything in life, you can do 2 things. One is to try and force something on somebody, and that never works.
No.
The other one is to try and encourage them. So for anybody to want to learn, to improve, to become better, they have to have that hunger and that desire within them. So all we can do is share our own stories, our own experiences of how life would be better for them if they were able to educate themselves, to become a lifelong learner, and perhaps connect with them in terms of where they are now and the pain that they are feeling right now with being unmotivated, without having a vision, without having a goal, and sharing with them that there's a dream that they have, and that dream can become reality if they go on a particular journey. But in order to go on that journey, they need to roll up their sleeves and they need to put the hours in. So that's the bit of advice I would give.
So what you say is, Neil, status quo, staying where you are, isn't and shouldn't be an option for an individual listening to Salaam Radio and Inspire at the moment.
I think each person really knows what they want to do. Like Shaz says, you can't force anybody to do anything you want to do. And I know that Shaz actually took one of his boys to a karate class for one session because he wanted to see if he enjoyed it. His son hated it. It was just not for him.
Right.
And that showed Shaz that actually he wasn't like some parents who say, no, you have to go, you have to do karate, you have to do this, you have to do boxing, you have to. Shaz said, you know what? My boy doesn't like karate. It's not for him.
Right.
He likes politics. That's what he likes.
Right.
And Shaz didn't say, well, you're a kid. What are you talking about politics? Shaz is doing the right thing. He's guiding his children towards what they want to do. And I think that's the most important thing for anyone, for parents, for for teachers, for anybody who has any influence over our younger people. You have to guide them based on what they want to do.
You've talked about, in terms of the Muslim woman. I come back to that because that's the sort of questions that we often get here in Islam Radio. Sadly, in the current climate, there is a lot of hate towards people who are different to us, basically. No doubt that you two at this conference, along with people from different parts of the world, are sharing different cultures, different experiences, and attitudes are being changed. So talking is the best way forward for us to be able to, respect each other and enjoy each other's company with the differences of culture, faith or no faith.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I certainly think that there is a huge gap in the speaking world of Muslim speakers. I know Shaz, I think I know one other out of thousands of speakers, and I think there's a huge gap, and that gap needs to be made up for sure. It really does. We need more speakers from the Muslim community to be out there, to be sharing, because even on this trip, Shaz and I, our friendship has grown even stronger because he shared with me many things that I had no idea about. Things like Shaz shared with me many cultural things. Yeah. I had no idea why some of these things existed. I had no idea as to clothing and what the basis was, as to. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, obviously, and that is, the point I'm trying to make is too often, sadly, and I make no apologies, that we as a Muslim community at individual level are collectively probably not sharing enough, whether that is that we lack the confidence, whether we fear how the other person may react to us with all the negativity about Islam and about Muslims.
Yeah, and I can share from my own point of view, because I even myself, I have people that dislike me for whatever reason. Yeah. I have it all the time. People will either let me know openly they don't like things I might say, or they'll deliberately avoid me. And I think it doesn't matter what you do, and the reason for that sometimes is for no other reason that I'm an entrepreneur. Some people have a prejudice against entrepreneurs, as crazy as it sounds. So I think it doesn't matter what you do in life. There's going to be people that like you. There's going to be people that don't like you. And the difference is, this is the only difference, is that some people let that stop them and some people don't. And they move forward anyway.
And I suppose the message from us here today in speaking to you and Shaz Nawaz is don't let that stop you from having a dream and pursuing that dream.
There's nothing more important in this life than pursuing your dream. Because if you don't, you will look back one day as an old man, as an old lady, and you'll have regrets. And there's nothing worse than regrets.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll add to that, over the last 4 or 5 days at this conference, we've seen some phenomenal speakers. These are world-renowned speakers, and pretty much every single one of them has shared how they've had to work hard in order to improve their skills in every single aspect of their speaking career. So no matter how good you are now, everybody, like Neil said earlier, pretty much starts at ground zero. And one of the examples one of the speakers gave us earlier today, his name's Patrick, he says, if you're a parent, when your child is born, on the first day, the doctor or the midwife or the nurse doesn't say, "Here you go, you've got a lovely baby boy and he is a sales specialist," or he is a doctor, or he's a dentist. All they give you is a baby, and the baby doesn't come with any particular skill. The skills that they learn are the skills that they develop through life. So if you want to get somewhere, if you want to become something, if you want to achieve something, then you have to develop those skills. And I think that was a very pertinent point for me. I don't know how you felt about that, Neil.
Yeah, I completely agreed with that. I think it was a great metaphor.
And and really, we are. Made the point earlier that there is a gross underrepresentation of Muslim speakers, and we can probably say that in every profession that there is. And the way forward to create a more harmonious society, more equal, a society that is at peace with each other, is to have diversity in every sphere, in every field.
Yeah, definitely.
And absolutely, yeah. So I think through my own conversations and relationships with people, is that most of these associations, these institutes, are looking for people from other backgrounds to come along. So there's always a very big drive, and I know Neil is very passionate about this, to have more women come on board. And there's also a massive drive for people to say, can we have people from ethnic backgrounds to join these associations and institutes? Because most people, not all, but most people want their association or their institute to reflect the wider community. So, and I think it's important that people from our own communities are encouraged to join these institutes, to join these associations, because this is where you develop skills. I mean, you can read books, you can go online, you can watch YouTube videos, and that's fantastic. But that's all one-way training. There, the book, the TV, the magazine, the trade journal, the YouTube video is feeding you, and then that depends on your interpretation. But if you join an institute or an association, then there's two-way contact.
Yep.
So you can ask questions. You can ask people about particular challenges that you have, and the other person will share those with you, and that will speed up your learning, and that's very important.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, let's look at the facts here. I mean, even in the speaking community, you look at the speaking community and the demographic facts were put on screen today. 90% of professional speakers, these are people that speak to hundreds of millions of people a year. 90% are white people. 90%. So that leaves 10% across all other demographics, and people wonder why let's say we're talking the Muslim community are and what's the word I'm looking for here, Shaz? Sort of
underrepresented.
Underrepresented, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah,
that's why. But at the same time, I would say that if you want more representation, there's people, you've got to step out of the limelight, you've got to step forward, and you've got to speak out. If I didn't do that, if I just let people bully me when I was a kid and I didn't step out, I wouldn't be where I am today sharing my message. And my message is shared to everybody. It's for everybody. It's not just for people from my community. It's for all communities. It's for all people, and that's the important. There's nothing more important than to bring culture, to bring people together, and that's what we need to do.
Sometimes, you talked about the difficulties of failure that you went through, and that inspired you to greater heights.
Yeah.
And that's something that sometimes, it's sometimes for some people can be a bit difficult to bear, to find that energy to get up and go again.
Absolutely. So, there's many good quotes and sayings about how important it is to be persistent. And I can share about my own journey that I've had more failures than successes. But the world out there only sees your successes, generally speaking. They don't see your failures, and they don't see all the hard work you put in. So by way of example, we're sat in America. Here we've got Hollywood. We've got some of the best actors in the world who earn a lot of money and who win lots of awards. If you go to speak to any of those actors, they will tell you how many hundreds and thousands of hours they've had to put in order to become a master actor. So we don't see that hard work. All we see is the end result, and it's the hard work that you have to put in to anything on your own, which makes the real difference. And every time you spend the extra hour, the extra week, the extra month, the better you become. It's all about repetition. If you want to become really good, if you want to become a master at something, then that comes through repetition. And repetition, like Neil said earlier, takes discipline.
Investing time and effort.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I can share with you that if you look at all core values, from courage and all the core integrity and all these things, the most important core value, bar none, and this will trump everything. This will even trump the person with a PhD in life. That one core value is persistence. There is nothing more important than persistence, because as long as you keep going and you don't give up, you will always be successful. You only fail when you actually stop trying.
Well, that is a great message from our very special guest this evening on the Empire program, Empire Hour, Neil McCoy Ward. Yes, make sure that you are persistent, brothers and sisters. Invest time and effort and you will achieve your goals. The message is loud and clear. Dream and dream big. Your dreams can be realized, but you have to make that effort. You have to put the time and effort in. Shaz, it really has been a pleasure talking to both of you.
Absolutely. I've enjoyed it very much, and this has been our first experience where I have been out the country and we've been on the radio. I think we should do this more often. I have to try and sell this idea to my wife that we should go away and I can do the radio show.
Absolutely. This technology, Shaz, is just, fantastic, isn't it, really?
Absolutely. And I think when I come back, I should hand the reins to you, because I can never, ever do a great job as you do, Mr. Ali. You are a phenomenal interviewer who I look up to every single day.
No, well, to be honest with you, I'm learning a great deal from you. I really am. It is a second beginning for me, if I can put it like that. So thank you very much for those kind words, which I cherish and value. But people like you and Hasib and talking to Neil this evening, they are a motivator for me and an inspiration as well. And it always is a pleasure. But thank you very much for enabling me to contribute in the Empire Hour as well. When are you back with us, Shaz?
We're flying back tonight, so I'll be back early morning tomorrow.
Well, we are missing you here in Peterborough.
He's got the weather to look forward to.
Absolutely. Neil and I and my family and everybody at the convention have enjoyed the weather here. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's been a good time. So we've taken lots of notes, and we'll be coming back to share some of our key ideas with our friends and our colleagues and our audience. And at the same time, hopefully, I'll be able to share some more ideas with you when we next meet.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that. Neil McCoy Ward, public speaker, motivational speaker, talking to us today. He is from Coventry, but he is in the United States of America at the moment, in Orlando, along with our regular presenter for the Empire Hour, Shaz Nawaz, at a international conference. Thank you very much for joining us. We're almost come to the end of the program. Muhammad Hasib, no doubt you enjoyed that as well.
Definitely picked some brilliant tips up from Shaz and Neil, and it's been brilliant from Shaz joining us, taking the time out. That shows his dedication to the radio show. So thank you, Shaz, again.
Okay, and you have been listening to the Empire Hour, which is with you every Tuesday evening from 7 till 8 on 105.1 FM in Luton and 106.2 FM in Peterborough. Make sure that you join us every Tuesday evening, because you will always get some handy tips to improve your life chances, you will find that we are doing our best to motivate you, to inspire, to dream, to achieve your goals. And Shaz and Asib will be back with you next week at 7 o'clock here on Salaam Radio and Inspire FM. That's just about it from us for today.
Thank you everyone for joining us, and inshallah see you next week on Tuesday for the Empower Hour.
Allah